You're a superstar on Instagram. I always follow you and I take back lots of amazing information. So we're super excited to talk to you today. So we're going to get right started, jump right in. So our first question is, you talk about being a miracle. So if you can just share with us what that means and share with the audience what that means about being a miracle, and we can kind of dive into the rest of the questions after that.
Started out with just in a kind of broken household and growing up, and kind of was following along the same tracks as most of the kids in my neighborhood. And my destinations were almost predetermined. I was either probably going to end up dead or in jail by the time I was 18. And luckily along the way, mentorships, and I call them magic moments, happen in your life. And I had a couple. One was a karate teacher that pulled me off the street shortly after my mom passed away. I was just living on the street trying to find my way on my own. And he pulled me off the street, moved me into his house, made me finish high school. So it was kind of a magic moment. And I still had all of those things I carried with me and tried to find different ways to escape. I ended up going to the military. So it's like nowhere near the beauty industry. And beyond the military, found myself just kind of going back the other way. Got out of the military, had a bunch of grace. I went in to be a war fighter, so I wasn't going in to get a job that I could do after I got out. So when I got out, had no skills, ended up working a little bit here and there, odd jobs, found my way back the other way and went completely all in the underworld, which netted me in about a year after that, getting out, netted me a 4-year vacation, as I call it, when I share it with the groups that I get to speak to, but ended up in prison for 4 years. Along the way, I met a couple of people. One guy that was in there for 20, he was already in there for about 25 years, and he was never getting out. He got me to start thinking a little bit differently. And so, we always say it like at Paul Mitchell, you change the way you look at things you look at change. And so I started like thinking about that. And by the time my sentence was over, I got out and I was like, well, maybe there's a chance I could do something. I don't know what. But I knew I didn't have any more strikes. And it was a miracle, or it was a fate, or it was a destiny. But the last year that Paul Mitchell did their hair show in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, was my first year working in a restaurant as a convicted felon. There was this restaurant that had a program where they would hire ex-convicts, give them a chance to get back in. I started as a dishwasher, so I never knew what the patrons looked like. But slowly over the year, I'd worked my way all the way up to the head bartending position, and it was behind that bar that the miracle happened. I happened to pick up a lunch shift, and a group of guys came in. I thought it was a rock band. They all looked like, looked like Matt. They all looked really cool, had great hair. I was like, oh man, who are these? I thought it was a Maroon 5. I'd been gone for 4 years. I didn't know Maroon 5 from Maroon 6. So I'm there and I'm like watching these guys come in. They happen to sit at the bar. And I had this big afro at the time. I didn't have any facial hair, but I grew my hair out and would have it braided. This day I just had it out. And they looked at me and they're like, we've been looking for you. I'm like, what do you mean you've been looking for me? And they start talking about launching this brand of this thing called Tea Tree and all this and that. And I was in a sniper platoon in the Marine Corps. So I was like, oh yeah, I know trees. I know how to sleep in trees. I used to dress up like a tree. I'm like, because they told me if I signed up and I came and spent the next couple of days, not only would they pay me, but there was only 2 guys and I'd get to hang out with a bunch of beautiful models. And so I was like, they're not going to cut my hair, just style it. So literally, and that was the last year. After that year, they moved the Paul Mitchell hair show out of that city. So it was really like fate and a destiny. And that one weekend, I got to meet the whole crew and hang out with Robert and hear his story about coming to the United States with nothing in his pocket. I had nothing in my pocket. So I started to resonate. I'm like, well, I'm born in America. If he could come here with nothing and create what he's created, what if I took a chance? And literally that weekend, I come back to my job. I put in my notice. I'm quitting. I'm moving to Florida. I'm going to Paul Mitchell. And they're like looking at me like I'm crazy. Never mentioned hair. Never had an inkling in my body about hair. I mean, I cut my own hair as a kid and cut some of my buddies' hair, but never thought it was like anything I would ever do. And if it wasn't for that, that miracle or that chance meeting, fast forward a year later, I was at the premier hair show, tapping Robert on the shoulder with my, Paul Mitchell school shirt on as a recent, graduate of Paul Mitchell. But if it wasn't for that meeting, I mean, I kind of was out of options. I thought, work at the restaurant, save up some money and probably just get back into the same lifestyle. So it was like, and that's why I have so much gratitude for the company, is because it kind of, I say, saved my life, because it was like 4 strikes. I was already out. And so if it wasn't for that chance meeting, I mean, we wouldn't be talking for sure. I probably wouldn't be here, most definitely. So that's why I call it a miracle.
That is amazing. And I love that story. And I think that's why so many people resonate with you. And I think that's why you're such an amazing leader and people are looking up to you, because I feel like, well, number one, a lot of people don't have courage to talk about that story, right? Or like to tell that story. And I think it's so beautiful how you see it as a miracle and how you were able to be present in that moment, right? Like a lot of people are just worried about the hustle bustle. They're in their head, but you were present and open and waiting for Robert to talk to you. And so it's really just a matter of mindset and will, you know, am I willing to do what it takes, or am I willing to trust in this next journey? And so I think that that is like so freaking cool.
Yeah.
It's super exciting.
Thank you for sharing.
And when he saw me in the early days and kind of looked at me, and I got some pretty significant scars, and he was looking at my arm, and he was like, you know, he's like, you got a story, you need to share it. And I was just like, hell no, I'm not saying anything to anyone about it. I don't want to get kicked out of Paul Mitchell. So I kind of kept that myself for almost 10 years. And a couple of years ago when I started, you know, writing and was like finding, it was almost like therapeutic in the beginning. And then I decided one day to like share it in front of like probably 25 people. And I realized like this whole time I'd been hiding, because all I would ever do when I would go into a school is just do a haircut. And I thought I was like changing the world, but I really wasn't making an impact like I am now, because I started sharing, and I found it was like I never did a haircut and then had like grown men crying and hugging it out at the end. And then I went in and shared my story, and it was just like this whole like wave came over me, and I was like, I'm on a totally different mission now. I realized, I mean, yeah, haircutting is great. It's my passion in the art, but there's a whole another part of the artist that I'm able to touch now, and just, you know, but it took a while. It took a while to get to that point. Yeah,
I think at the end of the day, everybody's struggling. And I think you almost healed yourself in healing others. And I think that that is so powerful. And I think that you're an inspiration for other people to then continue and share their stories and heal. Because I think one of the best things and the best way to connect with an audience is to be vulnerable and to showcase that, yeah, you know what, it hasn't always been great, but I'm stronger as a result of it not being great. And this is who I am as a result of it not being great.
Where does that passion come from, educating young professionals and students? Why do you care so much about Cosmo students?
I think it's a big part of like that is what changed in my life. And then if there's only maybe one person that's in one of these rooms that's like me, that like really needs this new journey to be the one and to pay off, and I could somehow like encourage them or motivate them or inspire them or drop a little nugget that they can take and run with, then I'll feel like, you know, it's been totally worth it.
Yep.
And so that's been a big thing for me to get to all of the people that are just starting this journey, because a lot of them, they're hoping this is going to be their career. This is going to be their life change, and they're trying to do something good. I mean, we're, you know, as hairdressers, I mean, we give, and then a lot of times we kind of like get forgotten. So I feel like for this industry to have to have someone that, you know, even just one person that I could help, I mean, it's totally worth it. And so I say it sometimes, I'm working in the basement, you know, because I go into the schools a lot, and I'm starting at the ground level and trying to help them understand too, like we're using hair. It's almost like a front in a way, because we're using hair to like do good. But it's not really about the hair. It's about everything else that's happening in and around the hair. So I feel like if I can get into the ground level and start with the people that are just getting going, and they understand the importance of it, and it's not like, you know, I'll do 10 haircuts today and maybe 3 of them will be even, but, you know, one of them might be life-changing, and that's the one that matters. Yeah. So I'm trying to get into the ground floor and really inspire that generation to take what we're doing and know that this isn't just, you know, we're not just doing hair. Yeah. So that's why I like to start at the base. You know, you got to go to the foundation, and that's kind of been my.
So understanding that from such a young level can really kind of change the whole trajectory of your life. So that's super, super awesome.
Yeah.
Being around students as much as you are there specific qualities or characteristics that you find in common in students that are successful immediately after graduation?
Definitely. I think the ones that are getting started early, meaning, you know, there's ones like, and I always, you know, I'll hang out, we do little, you know, Q&A, and it will happen. It never fails. It always happen. And I'll be talking to some of them, and they'll be like, "Yeah, I'm graduating," and I'm like, "Oh, cool. Are you, you already have a salon that you're gonna work at?" Like, well, no, I'm kind of like, waiting, or I'm kind of looking. And this is the other ones that are like in core, and I'm doing a hiring event, and they show up.
Right.
So it's the ones that are like going after it from the beginning, and all of them are scared. We're all scared. You're scared it's too early, it's too late, you're scared, whatever. But I think the ones that I notice that are going after it early are the ones that are getting the results. Because even I tell them, if you go, I mean, you don't have to accept a job. You could even just go work for free. So there's no like commitment on either way. Say, hey, can I come hang out for a day once a week? But the ones that are getting after it early versus waiting, meeting the salon owners early, applying for the jobs early versus waiting until they're, one day away from graduation. And then they're freaking out because they don't know like what the hell's going to happen. But the ones that are getting after it early, those are the ones that you'll see them in a year, and you'll see them in 2 years, and you'll keep tabs on them, and they'll be the ones that are doing it. They're the ones that are making it.
Well, I think it's like that fear of rejection, right? Like, it's like I was very similar to that degree, because I felt like I can't do anything until I'm perfect at it. And guess what? Nobody's perfect, and it's never going to be perfect. So the longer you sit on it, everybody's passing you by, and they're doing, an okay job, but they're not perfect, but they're still getting the jobs that maybe you could have gotten. So I started learning later in my career how important it is to just listen. Rejection's not going to kill you. I mean, we've all been rejected so many times in our lives, and it hasn't killed us. And I think it's an important part of life to feel that rejection and understand and learn and grow from it. But you're never going to be perfect. So I think that that's like such great advice. I mean, if you would have given me that 10 years ago, I'd be well off, a long time ago. So I think that's so, so important, because I hate rejection. And I'm so slowly starting to realize, like, even with us, like doing live FaceTimes and all these things, it's like you worry, like, oh, what if we say something silly? Like, who cares? Everybody's human, and we're all connecting at the same level. So I think that's awesome.
Yeah. So as a young student, you want to see people being hustlers, go-getters, like just go get it.
Go do it.
Yeah.
So if you can go back in time, what advice would you give yourself as a cosmetology student?
I would say, I was the same, I kind of waited. So definitely, like, there was a couple salons that I really, I was a little bit intimidated to go to. There was one I worked a lot while I wasn't in school, but there was one that I would go to occasionally. But definitely I would say, like, get into more salons. While you're in school, go hang out. If they have a play there, and don't overthink. Like, I would overthink everything, like every haircut, every color. I was a little older as a student, so am I behind? Am I gonna be able to get caught up quick enough? So there'll probably be two things, not overthinking. Getting into more salons. I always joke around and talk about, reading, YFYI, shameless plug, but reading that, I would go back in a time machine and give that to myself, because that's what really inspired me to put that stuff down on paper, because there was a lot of stuff that I felt I got while I was going through the process, because I was so focused on cutting and coloring and trying to learn how to style that I missed that I'm also in a business, and that I've got to treat this like a business, or it's not going to pay me like a business. So those are little things I would probably, want to do, not overthinking. I talk about a lot with the students about the fortune and the follow-up, to follow up with people, like, because I would, maybe get a business card or get an offer, maybe to go and not act on it, just that doubting if I would, like, I don't know what they were expecting me to do. Nothing. I was a brand new student, but I felt like there was this, expectation, like I was supposed to have it all together. So I would, like, instead of doing it and acting and making a fool, if I had a chance to make a fool, I would sometimes hesitate. So that'd be it, just not hesitating. Take every opportunity.
When you focus on self-love, right, and you are kind to yourself, and you imagine yourself talking to the younger version of yourself. So imagine talking to a 5-year-old version of yourself, like, you would be kind, right? Like, you would say, no, you did great. And you would point out all the great things, right? Because you would be much kinder to yourself than you are today. For some reason, we're so hard on ourselves. And so envisioning that, and I think changing that mindset and being kinder to yourself, I think is such a critical component of just bypassing all that kind of mental like craziness of I'm not good enough, I'm not doing it, I'm not going to call, I need to wait. So I think that's so important. The earlier you get that, and you know what, even if it's scary, like just do it. Like just do it and then be like, oh shit, later, you know, but just do it. And like once you do it, the second time is not so hard, and the third time is even easier, and then now you're just rolling, you know. So
yeah, we talk about
so
a lot too. We you know, we always say yes, like, to everything.
Even if it's scary, I'm like, oh. And then I get off the phone, I'm like, oh my God, I just said yes. But then guess what? We're growing, right? And you grow up, and then the next time somebody asks you that, it's like, oh, piece of cake, I got this. It's no big deal. So important.
Yeah, one of our systems is we just call it the blueprint, and say yes and show up. Those are the two things that it takes.
Yep.
Blueprint for success.
And it sounds so simple, but it's very hard. But once you do it, it's magic. It really is. It's a magical moment, and you feel so accomplished and so proud of yourself. And then you can really look back and be like, wow, like I did that. It's amazing. Yep. So I love it. We've asked you a lot of questions. What is your ask for people that are watching this video? What are you asking?
So people that are watching this video, I would ask that like they make a commitment, you know, to just one. I know we, you know, talked about a lot of stuff, but make a commitment to do like one of the things or take action on one of the things. Because I mean, we all, you know, we get information all the time, and what you guys are doing is, I mean, it's a game changer. Like you're bridging the gap. And it's an important thing that a lot of people are going to get all this content, and that's all they're going to do. They're going to just get the content. So my big ask, if they're watching, if whoever's watching, would be take one thing. They're taking notes, write one thing down, and take action on it within like the next like 24 hours. Whether it be like there's a salon that I've been afraid to contact, or there's somebody on Instagram that I'm following them, but I've never like reach out to them, DM them. Just do something that, you know, action, not like a note or say it, but do something like in the next 24 hours. That would be my biggest ask, because that would be, you know, tip of the hat to you guys for making this all happen, for, you know, for me, for everybody else that's sharing. Like, that's what we want. I mean, I think, and you guys know, I mean, people that are sharing, you know, shit, like sharing is caring. That's what they, you know, it's true. So the biggest way to say, I guess, you know, thank you to you guys and to myself and to anybody else that's hearing would be for them to take action on at least one thing that they picked up today.
I love that. I think, you know, especially in this industry, it's so easy to get so overwhelmed with everything from social media and furthering your education. There's just so many things going on. If you could just pick one thing, set a goal for that week, just do one thing, like you said, and I think it kind of really narrows it down. And like you talked about it in your content we were listening to yesterday, you know, people are setting like, they're getting overwhelmed because setting these massive goals. Like for 2019, I want to do this. Well, just focus on this week.
Yeah.
Focus on the next 2 or 3 hours. Focus on the next 2 or 3 days. And you could really kind of hone in on something and get it done and feel great.
Yeah, for sure. Like I think if you just break it down to like doing one scary thing a week, or doing one thing that you might not have done that week, like DMing somebody, or just having that goal, as simple as it is, I think really just transforms your life.
Absolutely.
So I think it's awesome advice. Thank you so much, Sonny. You're amazing. You're an awesome human. We're so happy and excited that you shared your story today. And we hope to talk to you soon.
Yeah.
Forward to it, guys. Thanks a lot. I'm really excited to be a part of the project, and I look forward to talking to you guys in the near future as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Sonny.